This week on What to Watch, Kate Winslet is galloping from her demons as Mare of Easttown.
You don't have any bodies hidden under your porch, do you?
Plus, Netflix is bringing us Shadow and Bone, which surprisingly isn't a food show about cooking in the dark.
Is this true?
And according to my trusty Farmer's Almanac, we've got a particularly cruel summer coming our way.
If that's what you want.
Lace up your Satan shoes. It's time for What to Watch. Hey everyone, welcome to Entertainment Weekly's What to Watch, the show where EW staff help you solve your viewing dilemmas. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall, and also not returning for Bridgerton Season 2, but joining me here today are senior writer Samantha Highfill and digital news writer Nick Romano and digital writer Sydney Bucksbaum. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Well, now I'm bummed. I'd kind of blocked out the Bridgerton news, Gerrad, and now I'm just reminded.
Sorry,
Thanks.
my bad. It's fine. You have plenty more time to forget about it until the next season comes out. Yeah. All right, guys, let's get to it. Kate Winslet. I love her. She stars in HBO's new limited series, Mare of Easttown. And that's not mayor like the elected official or mare like a horse, but Mare, which is short for Mary Ann. She is a single mother and detective struggling to keep her head above water just outside Philadelphia. Ask an East Townie and they might say Mare peaked in high school on the basketball court. Indeed, when we meet her, she's coming apart at the seams, you guys, obsessed with solving a string of local disappearances while still navigating personal tragedies, both fresh and old. The series premieres April 18th, but Samantha's previewed some episodes already, as have I, and we have been like slacking up a storm about it and texting even to, I think. All right, Sam, so what do you think? Is Mare Winslet's next great role, or is Easttown like too dysfunctional for its own good?
Both. Option C, both. I didn't think Kate Winslet could play something that I would feel like, oh, I'd never seen her do this before. But this really does feel like that. I mean, quite literally, she's, as I learned in talking to her, never held a gun for a role before. So there's also that. But she's so good. Mare is such a great character. She obviously has been through some stuff. She's dealing with a lot of tragedy, but she also doesn't give a crap in so many great ways, and it's just such a staple of this small town, and I find her so fascinating.
And very complicated, very layered, as we find out as the episodes progress. So do you think the show is better when it's more of a mystery or as a character study, or do they exist harmoniously?
I think they totally exist harmoniously. And I think that's what sets this show apart a little bit from, I mean, we've gotten so many of these quick murder mystery shows. The thing that sets it apart is the town and is her character and is the environment. As much as I was on the edge of my seat wanting to know the answer to, the whodunit of the season, which is super interesting, I was also fine to sit there and watch these great characters chat for hours.
Let's talk about the supporting cast here because they are really good. How, for you, do these co-stars kind of help fully sketch out the community and make it seem like a real location?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think it's a mix of all these really rich, wonderful characters, and also the fact that they really shot in Pennsylvania. And you really feel like you're in this community. Jean Smart plays a lot of Fruit Ninja, which is my favorite, little fact about this show. She's just on an iPad, slicing fruit. And I was like, oh yeah, remember when that was a thing? And they all serve ultimately to bring out different sides of Mare. She's got that kind of rough relationship with her mom. Yeah. Evan Peters' character kind of tries to make her smile. Does it work? You'll have to see. But it feels real. It feels like these people exist in this town.
Yeah. All right, last thing here. This Delco accent that she adopted for the project, she has said it was one of the hardest that she has ever had to do in her entire career. So how do you think she did? As a viewer, is it something you felt that you got used to quickly, or do you feel it's kind of like in Fargo territory?
I don't think it's Fargo territory, because Fargo accents slap you in the face. You cannot miss them, I feel like.
And almost used for comedic effect.
100%. And this just felt, to be honest, I didn't really notice it. All I knew was Kate Winslet is American in this, That's as far as my accent, thinking went.
Agree. I didn't find myself paying attention to her trying to be American.
Right.
So she did a great job there. Yep. All right, thanks, Sam. Well, we need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to lighten the mood a little bit with Shadow and Bone. Stick around. Welcome back to What to Watch. Now, I don't know about you, but on April 23rd, I have booked a one-way ticket to the Grishaverse. That's right, season 1 of the Netflix adaptation of Leigh Bardugo's sprawling fantasy series is finally here. The series follows a young map maker with a game-changing power that, once developed, has the potential to bring light to a world that has been shrouded in darkness. But of course, with great power comes enemies, the Darkling, the Crow's Gang. Look, I could go on and on about this, but this is only a 22-minute show, you guys. All right, Nick, so is Shadow and Bone the sun summoner our TVs need right now?
Well, what I can say is Netflix said, let there be light. And now here we are.
So true.
No, but I think it is so much fun. I'm such a newcomer to this quote-unquote Grishaverse. And I just devoured the first season. Now I'm trying to make my way through all of the books. And there are many of them, so I'm definitely not going to do it before season one premieres.
Yeah.
But it is so much fun. I'm a major fan of big, sprawling fantasy worlds with deep, intricate mythologies, and this gives us all of that and more.
Leigh Bardugo has really created a complicated and very complex world here that has many fans around the world. So do you think viewers who are unfamiliar to the Grishaverse will be able to jump right in even if they haven't read the books like you're doing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think I am proof of that pudding, you know? Like, I watched the first season before I started reading the books, and I think what is so great about this is that, you know, maybe this is just my personal taste, but I always find if it's such a strict adaptation, it's kind of boring. I want surprises. I want to see something new. And what is so cool about Shadow and Bone, the show, is that it blends together two different books that take place in two separate timelines, but the stories are woven together to make sense for the core story of Alina, the sun summoner, or the sun summoner that's going on. One half of the show is sort of like this fantasy Ocean's 11 kind of heist show, and then the other is sort of like, you know, your typical, I mean, not typical, because I mean, you know, this is a world we haven't seen before and a concept we haven't seen before, but it's much more of that sprawling adventure fantasy series.
Okay, so let's talk about this cast. There are a lot of folks here. They are excited to see Ben Barnes, for one. He plays the Darkling. We also have Jessie May Lee taking on the lead role of Alina Starkov, which might sound a little like a character on another show that people know and love. The cast is rounded out by Freddie Carter, Amita Suman, Kit Young, Archie Renault, Callahan Skogman, Danielle Galligan. A lot of young talent here, and by the looks of the show, it seems like they are having a lot of fun here. How do you think the leads do here, and is the supporting cast, do you think, just as fun to watch on screen as they are in all those like behind-the-scenes videos they've been posting?
Oh my God, they are such a ball to watch, both on and off camera. And I think what's so great, I mean, beyond Ben Barnes, who's sort of, I still stan the Seventh Son movie, even though everybody all over it. But even, you know, he's probably one of the more, you know, established actors in this cast. But I think because everybody is so new, they are so eager to put their stamps into the industry, and I think they all do an incredible job. There are so many heartthrobs, so much eye candy to come in our way, which I'm really excited for everybody to see and fall in love with it as much as I have.
You know, Nick, the really big question here is, do you think Shadow and Bone will be a replacement for people who are missing Game of Thrones?
I mean, in one sense, for sure. I mean, I think people are definitely craving that kind of fantasy epic. But at the same time, you know, the Shadow and Bone, the Grishaverse, it's created for a YA audience. And I think very much that same core audience is going to be served in this live action adaptation. That said, I mean, it is so addicting. I just completely binged the whole season. And so, I mean, maybe in that sense, if you're looking for a Game of Thrones replacement, there's not kind of a weekly water cooler chat happening every week. But, you know, spoiler alert, I've watched it 3 times now, from like episode 1 to the finale. And it is so good.
Yeah. My big takeaway from what you just said is that it's targeted for the YA audience, and I loved it, so that means you're calling me young. Thank you. We got to move on. We got to take a quick break, but get your scrunchies and chokers ready, because when we get back, we're like totally heading to the 90s. Don't go anywhere, you guys, as if. Welcome back. This April 20th, nice, Freeform is taking us back to 1995 and 1994 and 1993 with its new teen thriller series, Cruel Summer. Hot summer streets, the pavement is burning, and, of course, a young girl has gone missing. The series, produced by Jessica Biel, follows the lead, Jeanette, a teen who secretly wishes she could single white female our missing girl, Kate. She transforms into a popular girl, though, after Kate goes missing and is later accused of being responsible for her disappearance. All right, Sydney, talk to me about the multiple time settings. How does the series do in kind of revealing this information and keeping the viewer hooked while also like hopping back and forth from year to year? Or is this basically just like bound to confuse anyone currently celebrating 420?
I will say it sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. Like when you're talking through the actual synopsis about how it takes place on like the same day, but on 3 different years, it sounds super confusing. But the show actually does a really great job of like keeping it all linear and like it helps you understand what's going on without making you like second guessing like the timeline aspect. What's really cool is how the show then uses that to kind of shift perspective and make you believe different things, so you don't actually know the full story, and the confusion doesn't come from the timeline. It just comes from who's telling the truth, who was involved in the disappearance. And I was really impressed. Like, I watch a lot of TV, and so I can usually see when like big twists and red herrings are coming from a mile away. And this show got me at multiple points over the first few episodes that I've seen that I got to give them their props. It takes a lot to surprise me on a TV show, and they did it multiple times in really well-written, well-thought-out ways that I am officially hooked, and I can't wait to see more.
All right, let's talk about the cast. Olivia Holt, she plays the town's missing girl. She comes from the Disney World. The heartthrob here is played by Froy Gutierrez. He was a fellow Teen Wolfer. Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, is in the cast as well. But we also have a lot of new faces here. Let's talk about the lead, Jeanette, played by Chiara Aurelia. This is her first big role, right? And did I say her name correctly?
I think you did. I'm, still waiting to interview her to get her perspective on the show, but she she blows me away in this. You think for like a young newcomer, this is kind of a lot for her to take on. She's not only playing this girl, but in 3 separate timelines, and like every year Jeanette has gone through quite a lot of changes. So each version of Jeanette is completely different, and Chiara manages to weave all 3 of them together to make you understand how she's changed so much, and like make you realize that this is still the same person, but just completely shaped by the circumstances she's been in. And she does a lot. She eats it all up. It's really, really impressive. I also have to shout out to Olivia Holt, who, like you said, came from Disney Channel days, but also is really well known for Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, where she was really great in that too. But this show gives her a lot more darker, heavier, more mature material, and she gets to showcase a completely new side to her talent that I think people are really gonna be impressed by.
Nice, love it. All right, let's talk about the 90s and the nostalgia. How does that all work its way into the series?
When I heard that the show took place in the 90s, I was like, why does this need to be in the 90s? And I still don't quite know the answer to that question, but I will say that the show does not do nostalgia just for nostalgia's sake. They're not like throwing a bunch of 90s references and props at you just to be like, hey, look, we're in the 90s. Like it just feels really real and authentic. And as someone who grew up in the 90s, like this does transport you to that time of just like those lazy summer days when like things were like a little bit less complicated in terms of technology and everything. And the fashion was really fun and real, and it doesn't feel like they just threw a bunch of scrunchies on the girls to make it like 90s. It feels earned. I still don't really know why it's in the 90s.
All right, well, you've convinced me. I'm definitely going to check this out. And you guys, we need to take one last break, but when we return, all three of you are in the hot seat. Get ready. Welcome back to the show. You know, we here at What to Watch headquarters, we love celebrating the collaborative spirit of television and the amazing shows that we have all spent our time poring over and sharing with our coworkers. But that doesn't mean we don't love a good throwdown from time to time. So in the spirit of friendly competition, we thought we'd put our knowledge to the test today and see how we all stack up in a little segment called Best the Guest. Here's how it works, you guys. Each of you will be given a category based on this week's shows, the shows we just talked about, and you'll have 30 seconds to name as many other shows in that category as you can. We'll then bring on our mystery contestant to try their hand at the same challenge, and whoever names the most shows will take home the title of Supreme Pop Culture Expert and retain bragging rights until the next time we play. So without further delay, let's start with you, Sam. You ready for your category?
I wish you could hear how fast my heart is beating.
Mare of Easttown adds to the increasing number of limited series we've seen on HBO the past few years. In 30 seconds, name as many other HBO limited series that have graced our screens. Here we go.
Big Little Lies started as one. They added a season 2. That should count. I can't do upcoming. So The Undoing, limited series on HBO. I don't watch that much HBO. The Night Before? Is that the Riz Ahmed one? Yes. Okay, great. What have people won awards for? Because it's always an HBO show. I don't know. Oh my God, I'm panicking. I quit.
Well, look, I still think you did a pretty good job. We're going to count The Night Before. It was close enough to The Night Of. We knew what you were talking about. You got 3 of them in 30 seconds. All right. But we don't know how our mystery guest did. So it is now time to reveal that mystery contestant. And it is, you guys, none other than critic Darren Franich. Let's see how Darren did with the same question.
HBO limited series, go. The Corner, True Detective. Why am I blanking on all the other limited series? The Night Of. You got your Generation Kill. You got your Show Me a Hero. After that, of course, David Chase Never Made Ribbon of Dreams. Why is that the only one that I'm thinking of right now? What was the other anthology that they did? True Detective Season 2. Does that count?
Here's the final tally. You ready? That's 3 for Sam, 5 for Darren. All right, moving on to Nick. Shadow and Bone is the latest sci-fi fantasy book series to be adapted to television. In 30 seconds, name as many other literary series that have gotten the same treatment. Ready? Go!
Okay, His Dark Materials, Game of Thrones, books that have become movies. No, not movies, TV shows.
TV series.
Oh my God, I'm totally blanking. This is terrible. Books, what do I read? Oh my God, this is terrible. I hate this. I'm gonna do all the Marvel stuff. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Jessica Jones, it's all comic books.
Let's see how Darren fared with the same category.
Oh God.
Okay, other literary series that have gotten adaptations. Game of Thrones, of course, classic. Outlander, the fans love it. Is Fate the Winx Saga an adaptation of something? I'm not sure. Altered Carbon, sci-fi fantasy. There were 2 seasons of that, 3 books, I believe. Oh, well, I mean, maybe we can count The Hobbit. That's getting an Amazon thing happening at some point. And
yet.
of course, there's The Expanse. Speaking of Amazon, gotta love The Expanse. Those are novels, I think. That's all I got.
All right, then. So here's the final tally on that one. Nick, you got 2. Darren doubled you with 4. All right, last but not least, Sydney, you're up. Cruel Summer, as we mentioned, jumps around to multiple time periods. In 30 seconds, name as many other shows that split their stories across different times. Ah! All right, ready? Go.
Oh God, is it bad? I can't even think of one. Like I know that there are. Oh no. Can I say Outlander? Because that's a bunch of different timelines. Okay. Oh my God. What's it? The Vampire Diaries. Different timelines. Yes. The Originals. That's another.
I mean,
this is so bad.
All right, let's see how Darren did.
Oh my God, he's gonna smoke me.
Shows with multiple time periods, go. Of course, Lost and all the shows that were influenced by Lost, like This Is Us and Westworld, which ruined multiple timelines for everybody. You got your True Detective, you got your Firefly Lane, you've got Reunion, classic show, hope people remember it, actually not that great. Altered Carbon, of course, Altered Carbon, a show that we all watched. Okay, multiple time periods. There was a time jump in Desperate Housewives, that doesn't really count, and Outlander.
The count there, Darren got 8.
Yeah.
Crazy. And Sydney, a respectable 3.
Oh, thank you.
Nice job.
Thank
yeah,
you.
out of all of you, 0 were able to outlist Darren. No one was able to best the guess. That's fine, though.
Shocker.
Next time. But you've all earned my undying love and respect. And that is our show for today. Thanks to my guests, Nick Romano, Samantha Highfill, and Sydney Bucksbaum. And, of course, our former he's our reigning champ, Darren Franich, our pop culture expert. He knows it all. We'll see you guys next week on What to Watch.